Hi, Year 8s. Welcome to Online Learning at Home. Today's task, what we're going to do is we're going to install Adobe Photoshop onto your laptop. So you need Adobe Photoshop to be able to do this first unit. You have all received an email from the Adobe Creative Cloud. Please check your junk mail if you haven't received it. You have received it though. It should look like this little symbol here. So this is the Creative Cloud. This is what we're downloading. It may take a while to download. If it asks you to put credit card details in, you've done it wrong. Please go back to the start. You are not paying for this. This is something from the school, so please make sure that you're downloading that. So if you've got any issues, please let me know. So while that's downloading, what I want you to do is to open up one of the resources in Sector, which is called the Student Technology Use Questionnaire. So if we open this up, obviously enable it, fill in your details, put your name on there, answer the questions, email or direct message it through. And then hopefully by the time you've done that, Photoshop is downloaded on your computer. So we're going to start with layers in Photoshop. So what I want you to do is to download the cartoon, black and white, which is just here, into Photoshop. You'll be using some layers, you'll be renaming some layers, using some different tools, and it's one of my favorite things to use, to be honest. If I go to Photoshop, if I go right up to the top, so this is their website. There's a lot of manipulation that they do. You can see this beautiful fighting fish. They've put a layer, or highlighted over it, the selection, put over the top. They've manipulated the image, use brushes. All I'm doing is scrolling down the screen at the moment. So it's showing about retouching, reimaging, and adding different bits and pieces. It is available on iPads as well. And then there's a whole heap of different stuff at the bottom. Photoshop's great because it does give you tutorials. So if you're wanting to extend your learning, you can watch different videos with step-by-step of what to do as well. So for our purpose today, we're going to open up Photoshop. And this is what we're going to do. So we're going to go File, Open, find where your cartoon is, and then you open it up. That's how you open up a document within your work. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to go over here to where the layers are, and I'm going to go New Layer and go OK. If you don't have this available, you need to go over to the Windows and you need to just check this layers part. It's a really vital part of this task and you really do need it. So please make sure that it is checked. Your desktop of Photoshop might not look like mine, so you might want to move some of these. All of these are open from here. So if I open up 3D, it would be here. Then I could put it within that particular toolbar, I guess. Alright, so I'm just going to bring that down because it's getting a bit confusing. So with layers, what I want to do is I'm going to rename it. So I'm just going to double click it. I'm going to write boy. Layers is really important because you need to click on the right part basically. So I am in the layer with the cartoon and I've come over to here and I'm going to use the magic wand. Photoshop's great because you can leave your mouse on parts and it'll hover and tell you what it is. So I'm going to use the magic wand. If it isn't available, just got to hold and click. There's usually 2 or 3 options of each tool here. So I'm going to click on his shoulder. And then I'm going to go over to color and I'm going to pick a color. I like blue, so I'm going to go blue. I'm going to go to the paint bucket and I'm going to just dump the color in there. So that's our first part. I'm going to go back to layers. Oops, and I've done it in the wrong one. So I'm going to undo. I need to put the color in the right layer. So it's really important that when I turn this off, that there's just that one that is selected. I'm going to go Control D, which deselects the marching ants. I'm going to go back to my layer and I'm going to pick the rest of his shirt. I'm going to go back to the boy. Maybe I'm going to use the brush this time. There's many ways of doing the same thing. If your brush is really tiny, that's going to take a long time, but you can kind of make it bigger. So it defaults to whatever color you use last. I go back to the boy and I use my magic wand and I click back, use my paint bucket. So I've got the shirt happening now. What I'm going to do now is show you how to do some lassos. So I'm going to go new layer. I'm going to say this is the wall. I'm going to zoom out because otherwise it's a little bit tricky. So I'm going to go up here. So there are two types of lassos. I'm going to do the polygonal one first. This is just basically straight lines. So perfect for this part of the wall. I'm just going to line it up and I'm just clicking my mouse each time. Click, click. And I have to make it a closed shape. So you can see the marching ants are there again. I'm going to change my color. Maybe I'm going to make this, I don't know, yellow. And then I put my paint bucket in there and deselect. I need to go back to my layers. So this time, rather than using that particular one, because it's going to take a while, because every time I'm clicking, it takes a while. So what I'm going to do is go to the magnetic lasso. I'm going to go a little bit closer though. So if I go over here, I'm going to just drag it around. So I'm not pressing the mouse this time. I'm just letting the tool do its thing. And I'm just going around. If you do it quickly, it might select everything. So you just got to do it quickly and have some patience with it. You might want to do a section at a time, because there's nothing worse than doing a whole section and then having a part of it not work. So I might, just for that purpose, I have to click it to make it a closed shape, go onto where my wall is and press the paint bucket into it. If I was to use the magic wand in this instance, I go back over here, you can kind of see it selects everything. That's because there are some shapes in here that aren't closed. If you look at the man's or the dad's head, you can see that there is a gap in there. So the magic wand will actually take that gap and just think that you want to select everything. The same with the girl. So if I was to do the same thing as the girl with the shirt, I can see it selects her head as well as her body. If I went to her pants, it doesn't. It just does her pants. So it depends on the shape. I think the mum is a little bit the same. So a dress is mostly there, but then it does go into the chair. You could use, I guess, a paintbrush. Let's change the color so it there's different ways of getting color too. You could go to the swatches. Maybe we'll make a green dress. You could get your paintbrush and just go the other way, so you're not actually going into the lounge, because if you did, that's what it would look like. Photoshop's good because you can undo what you've done as well. So the purpose of this task is basically you're going to fill it with color. So I have cheated. I have done some color already. So I've got my background color. I've already done all my layers. So you can see each layer is actually called something different. If I wanted to change a color, maybe I didn't like the yellow anymore, all I do is just press the select on that particular layer, and then I could change the color. Maybe I'm going to change it to blue. Now you can see it didn't select everything, so I need to be careful if I was going to change the color. Maybe I'll leave it. So the purpose of today is trying to use the different layers, and each layer is a different feature. So you can see, turn the marching ants off. I've got the back room, I've got the father, I've got the mother, I've got the girl, I've got the boy, the carpet, the furniture, and the pot plant. Now, one thing I haven't shown you is this is what it would normally look like. Now, I have manipulated the imagery, so you can see just by changing the layer back to normal, and that's what it defaults to. So yours would say normal. Because it says normal, I can't actually see anything in there. So I actually need to go to darken to actually see the line work. It's a great trick for you with cartoons. You can change it to other ones, so that one's pretty cool because it gives the mother kind of a cool looking dress. You can see with the father, if I go to the darken, you can see the line work within his pants as well. Now the girl, same deal. If I went to the boy and turned that off, you can see that you can't see any of his details. But just by changing this to darken, you can see that coming through. So for this double lesson, this will probably take more than a double lesson, so we'll do it a little bit next week as well. You need to save this in 2 ways. So if by the end of this double lesson you haven't actually finished it, I need you to save it as a Photoshop file. So you could call it whatever it was called. I think it's called the black and white cartoon. You could put it as your name and then just press save. The other part, if it is finished, you need to save as a copy because you need to share this with me. So for today, you are going to be sharing progress. So you need to do it as a copy. If you can put your name into it, it makes my life so much easier. Obviously, I've saved this document before because I've done this task before. I'm going to go save. And then that JPEG is a compressed, smaller version of your particular work. Please don't email your Photoshop files through because it's too big. And then just go OK. So if I go to my desktop, and forgive my desktop, it's a bit messy at the moment, that's my JPEG version of this task. So hopefully by watching this video, you're understanding a little bit more about Photoshop and layers. It's really important to understand about layers. Good luck and look forward to seeing your work soon. Thanks.